Alright, so we're on to the first component of a high-performance website, and that is, of course, traffic. You can have the best website in the world, but if you don't have traffic coming to it, you're never going to see sales and customers out of that website. Unfortunately, you have to have a website before you have traffic, so the first phase of your website, the first 3 to 6 months of building and developing your website and filling it out with content is going to, in a sense, be paying it forward. If you think about a farmer, right? They plant seeds and they water and they fertilize and they water and they fertilize, and they don't have anything to show for it for the first few months, and then finally the sprouts start to come out of the ground. This really is the same way. You got to get your website set up first. You got to get it to some degree of awesomeness before one, the traffic will come, and two, that traffic will do anything once they come to your website. And again, this all does come down to conversion. So the first thing I want to mention with this is not all traffic is created equal. And let's think about that for a minute, because there's plenty of fly-by-night companies that will offer you all sorts of traffic and big numbers coming from Google search engines and things like that. And we'll give you 10,000 visitors a month to your website. Well, I've often seen this with customers who have paid these so-called search engine experts, and I've seen many thousands of visitors coming to their website, and then also those many thousands of visitors not doing anything once they get to the website. In fact, within seconds of them visiting your website, they actually leave. And so when you think, if you're paying a search engine company many hundreds or thousands of dollars a month to deliver traffic to you, if that traffic is just turning around and leaving again, that's really just money going right down the drain. So not all traffic is created equal, and that's the first thing I want you to think about. Moving on, there are 3 main sources of traffic on the web right now, and there are also, I would say, a dozen other websites that you need to be aware of on some level, and your consultant or whoever is on your team and helps you grow your website, they're going to be aware of these other social platforms. I just listed the big 3 here: Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Those are the 3 most visited and trafficked websites on the internet right now. So those are the 3 we can focus on. Depending on your business, depending on your industry, you're going to have different success with different websites. But these are the main 3 for now. We can talk about Twitter, we can talk about Pinterest, we can talk about LinkedIn. There's many other sites that you can benefit from. But for now, this will give you the idea of where you want to go and what you want to do. The first one, of course, being Google. Google is hands down where people go when they're looking for products and services online. I'm assuming that you are a business and you have products and services to sell, so Google is often the best place to go and what's going to produce the best results for you. Facebook can be a powerful tool depending on your industry, depending on your product, depending on your niche. But also, unless you have a solid website, your Facebook is basically going to be for nothing if you don't and aren't able to convert those Facebook visitors into website traffic and thus into sales and leads for your business. So Google, of course, there's many ways that you can get Google traffic, and if you think about it, let's go in and do a pretend search. So let's say I'm going on Google to look for a hairpiece or a brand new toupee for my bald spot. I want to cover that up. I got a business meeting coming up, and I think a nice full head of hair is going to help me with that. So I'm going to go to the internet, and I don't want the average run-of-the-mill cheap-looking toupee that everybody's going to see that's fake. If you think about, put yourself in the shoes of your customer. What is it they're looking for, and what is it they're afraid of? Very often that, we have products and services, but getting them to show up just isn't enough. We need to know what it is that they're actually looking for specifically. And I want this toupee or my hairpiece to be top-notch, so I'm going to look for natural hair pieces. And what we'll see are search results that Google displays, and we're going to see 4 or 5 of the top search results for natural hair pieces. And basically, those are websites, businesses, and different organizations that offer hair pieces or information about hair pieces that will basically lead me towards what I'm looking for, or hopefully lead me towards what I'm looking for. Let's say I go to that first website, and it's everything that I needed. The website is designed and structured in a way that makes me confident in what they do. I can see that they have their stuff together. It looks like they're a reputable business. It's easy for me to buy their product or contact a sales representative online. You can begin to see this process unfolding as you would be on a search for what you're looking for. Now, all that probably sounds pretty simple, but the big question is, how do you get your business, your product, your service at the top of those search engine rankings whenever they search for your product or your service. And there are many ways to do that, more so than what we have time to go into in this video, but a properly trained and effective search engine expert will know the tricks, the strategies, the tools to build you into Google's search rankings and bring you long-term, highly relevant, high-performance traffic from those sorts of search terms that are relevant to your search terms. This can be a national thing or it can be a local thing. Let's say I'm looking for a plumber in Philadelphia. I can do a search for a Philadelphia plumber, or Google actually recognizes, based on my internet connection, that I'm located in Philadelphia, and oftentimes they'll pull the most local and relevant searches as well for that. So that's another angle, depending on your business, depending on what you have going on. That's another angle you need to be aware of as well. But again, a competent search engine expert will be able to make sure you capitalize on all of those things. And there are many ways they do that. Oftentimes they do monthly services ranging from 3 to 6 months in contract, because it does take a certain amount of time. Google, basically, they want your website to be legitimate. They want it to be naturally ranking. Back 3, 4, 5 years ago, there were people that would basically reverse engineer how Google ranked websites. And then they would do all these tricks and basically hacking Google's infrastructure to figure out how to get their hairpiece website up at the top over the most authorized and best hairpiece website. For instance, if I wanted to, if I had these cheap hairpieces, I wanted to start a little fly-by-night website. I could hack and cheat Google to put my website above the the best ones out there in the industry, and in a sense I could get my website above them because I knew a little bit about Google and how it worked. Well, now things have changed, and they want the best, most relevant, most long-term businesses and websites at the top of the search engines, and they really penalize those sort of fly-by-night website and search engine hackers that are trying to get cheap rankings and things like that. So just something to be aware of. Good search engine experts will want to engage with you in 3 to 6 month strategies that will show results, and it does take often about 6 months to see any real search engine ranking improvement. And if they tell you that they can do it quicker, sometimes that might not be good, because Google will see you as a potential cheater, I guess you want to call it. They may flag you. They may actually move you down in rank if you do unethical practices, and Google has a list, and any good web developer or search engine expert will know the best practices and will utilize them. So it's always good to use reputable people in any part of your business. The web is no exception. So finally, moving on to Facebook quickly. As you can imagine, Facebook is something for if you're a retailer, if you have something that's a unique product or service that is sort of, let's call it flashy. The iPhone, you think about the Apple iPhone. If you have an accessory for the Apple iPhone that is sort of neat, or anything that's sort of technologically oriented, anything that is, again, fun. If you think about what retail purchases are as opposed to industrial purchases, I have a client who manufactures lighting fixtures and lighting products for warehouses. There's not a lot of people on Facebook that are talking about lighting fixtures in warehouses and things like that. That's more of an industrial term. Another good example is a funeral home. There's not a lot of people that are excited to talk about funerals and things like that on Facebook. So you begin to get the idea. Depending on what your services are in your industry, Facebook may or may not be for you. But the idea is that is a major source of traffic for people that are in the retail and public service world. Finally, moving on to YouTube, this is probably one of the most untapped resources that is available. Video is fastly and quickly becoming the most powerful medium of sales and communication on the web. YouTube gets millions upon millions of searches every single day, and basically, and most often with businesses, there are people looking to solve their problems. Let's say you install and repair furnaces and heaters. Sometimes do-it-yourselfers will get online and look for how to repair my oil furnace. And oftentimes, and this is a customer that I've had, my furnace guy, he will want to make a video on how to repair and service your oil furnace. And he will go through his steps using his specialized tools that he has to properly service and repair an oil furnace. And what will often happen is these do-it-yourselfers who go online and search these things are going to go to these how-tos, going to find out very quickly that this isn't something they want to do, and voila, there's a guy that's already told them how to do it. He seems trustworthy. He's taken the time to build a website, to put videos on there that help people out, and he's already established as an authority in that niche. So he's more likely to get the call and more likely to get the business if that begins to make sense for you as a model. Again, Google, Facebook, and YouTube, all of these should point back to your website. If you see my handy funnel there, they should point to your website where you have a chance to engage with them and then convert them over to either sales or convert them into an email address that you can continue a relationship with via an automatic email correspondence system that is very easy to set up and costs very little money. So closing out the traffic coming to your website should be relevant. And there are ways to measure how long that traffic is actually staying on your website and what they're doing when they get there. We'll cover that in the analytics section, but for now, let's stick to traffic. Your traffic should be measurable. If you aren't able to measure how many visitors you're getting and where they're coming from, then basically you don't have control of the traffic. You don't know where it's coming from, and therefore basically you can't improve it. Your web designer or your website manager should be able to deliver to you monthly or quarterly reports of where your traffic is coming from, how much traffic you're getting, and how long they're staying on your website. These are all metrics we'll cover in the analytics section, but finally closing out with traffic, your traffic should be consistent. Oftentimes you can do tricks and gimmicks to get waves of traffic that come and go, and that's no consistent way to run a business. Naturally, you can't grow that way when you're in a constant state of feast or famine, so your traffic should be consistent. And finally, I'd like to close out with, not all traffic is created equal. Think about that the next time somebody is offering you X amount of traffic, or this ranking in Google, or this many fans and followers on Facebook, or this many video views on YouTube. The numbers are only important to a point, because the people that are visiting your platforms, whether it's a search engine, whether it's a Facebook page that you own, or your YouTube channel, or your website, the traffic that you're getting should be converting into either emails or sales, or whatever else you want them to do when they come to your website. That could be sign up for a free consultation, and we'll get into that in the conversion video that we're headed to next. So I look forward to seeing you over there, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.